Magic Tree House, Book number 36, Sunlight on the Snow Leopard, by Mary Pope Osborne. Chapter 5, First Light. A rooster crowed outside. "Wake up, Jack, it's first light," said Annie. Jack opened his eyes. Light came through the window panes. The fire had gone out. The room was freezing. Jack wanted to stay in his sleeping bag, but he stretched and got up with Annie. They pulled on their parkas, hiking boots, and gloves. They rolled up their sleeping bags and pulled on their backpacks. Annie opened the blue door, and she and Jack slipped out of Amma's tea house. As they hurried through the gray dawn, Jack could see his breath in the cold air. Villagers were already at work. Small children were feeding chickens. An old woman was milking a cow. Girls were herding sheep into the frosty pasture. Jack and Annie champed through the tall grass. They climbed the path to Tenzin's house. To Jack's surprise, the frail-looking man was standing outside. He wore no jacket, gloves, or shoes. "Good morning," Tenzin said. "Are you ready to hike up that hill?" He pointed at the rocky slope rising above his hut. The hill looked like a high mountain to Jack. "You mean hike up that mountain?" he said. Tenzin smiled. "Some may call it a mountain," he said, "but to me it is only a high hill." "What's up there?" asked Annie. "If we are blessed, we will see the gray ghost," said Tenzin. "Oh, wow," whispered Annie. So the gray ghost isn't just a character in a story?" said Jack. "No, she is real," said Tenzin. "Very real." "Oh, she's real," Jack said in a small voice. "You okay with that?" Annie whispered to him. He nodded and looked back at Tenzin. "But don't you need warmer clothes? Or at least shoes?" Jack asked. "I have climbed all my life without shoes," said Tenzin. "I am not afraid to do so now." "But do you feel strong enough?" said Jack. "Yes," said Tenzin. "The letter you read to me last evening stirred some memories. It has brought back a bit of strength." "So, how far do you think we should hike?" asked Jack. "Until the gray ghost sees us," said Tenzin. "You mean until we see her?" said Annie. "No, she can best be seen when one is not looking for her," Tenzin said. "How do you not look for something that you're looking for?" thought Jack. "One can even gaze right at her and fail to see her," said Tenzin. "So what does one do to find her?" Annie asked. "One can only hope to be in the right place at the right time," said Tenzin. Annie smiled. "I understand," she said. "She does," thought Jack. "Good. Then let us begin our journey," said Tenzin. He turned and started hiking up the rock-covered slope behind his hut. "Ready?" Annie asked Jack. "No, listen, we shouldn't encourage him," said Jack. "Amma said he's not been well. He's not dressed warmly enough, and he's not making sense. We have to stop him." "How?" said Annie. "I don't know," said Jack. Then he shouted, "Tenzin!" Tenzin turned around and waved at them. "Leave your backpacks by my door," he shouted. "Follow me to higher ground." And he started hiking up the slope again. "Oh, man," said Jack. "What should we do?" Wait. Did he just say higher ground?" said Annie. She grabbed Morgan's note from her pocket. She read aloud. "Ask those around you where the ghost can be found. Follow the one who says higher ground." "Yes, Tenzin said Morgan's words, said Annie. He literally said, "Follow me to higher ground." Whoa, said Jack. So we have to follow him, said Annie. We don't have a choice. Jack took a deep breath. You're right, he said. He and Annie set their backpacks outside Tenzin's door. Then they started up the rocky slope, following Tenzin to higher ground. Chapter 6. Yak, Nak, and Ibex. Tenzin was hiking quickly up the slope of the high hill. In his bare feet, he sprang from rock to rock. He leapt over dark crevices between boulders. He's so fast, said Annie. I know, said Jack. We have to catch up. But catching up to Tenzin wasn't easy. Jack slipped on some loose rocks and nearly hit his head on a boulder. Jack, you okay? Said Annie. Sure, no problem, Jack said, jumping to his feet. Keep going. Oh, wait, said Annie. Look. She pointed to a strange-looking animal walking along a ledge. It had enormous curved horns. What's that? Said Jack. An ibex. It's a wild mountain goat, said Annie. Cool, said Jack. More ibexes trailed out from behind large boulders. Jack and Annie watched the mountain goats clomp down over the rocks and disappeared around a lower ledge. Oh, look at that! It's a yak, said Annie. A yak? Said Jack. Yes, said Annie. She pointed to a creature standing near the base of the slope. It had horns, too, and long, dark, shaggy hair. I've always wanted to see a yak. Did you know a female yak is called a nak? No, said Jack, shaking his head. You really know a lot about animals, Annie. Not really. I just know a little about a lot of them, she said. She turned back around. Look at Tenzin now. He's nearly out of sight. Tenzin, wait, Jack shouted. But Tenzin didn't seem to hear him. We have to catch up, said Jack. Jack and Annie kept climbing over pebbles and rocks. The hike soon became harder as the slope grew steeper. Snow covered the higher part of the mountain, and the wind blew against them. Jack, stop, look, said Annie. She pointed to another creature. It was small and round with bushy gray fur. Squirrel? Said Jack. Marmot, said Annie. Marmots are the heaviest members of the squirrel family. Cool, said Jack. But we can't keep stopping, okay? We can't lose sight of Tenzin. Right, said Annie. We have to go faster, said Jack. He shot ahead of Annie and climbed faster. Too fast. Jack slipped on a snow-covered rock and fell to the ground. The rocks tumbled down the slope, causing a rock slide. More rocks rolled down, heading toward Annie. Annie jumped out of the way, but she slipped and fell too. She scrambled on her hands and knees over the snow and hid behind a boulder. More rocks crashed down the slope. Annie, cried Jack. I'm okay, Annie shouted. Are you okay? Yes, said Jack. After a moment, the rock stopped sliding. Annie peeked out from behind the boulder. All clear? She called to Jack. All clear, he called back. Annie hurried to catch up with Jack. Tenzin must not realize that we fell, said Annie. I can't see him at all anymore. Me neither, said Jack. Oh man, he can't keep this up. He's got to rest soon. Maybe he's up on that ridge. Jack pointed to a narrow ledge farther up the mountainside. I wonder how high is higher ground, said Annie. I have no idea, said Jack. Let's go. Watch your step. They both started hiking again. As they drew close to the ridge, Jack shouted, Tenzin! This time he heard a call. I'm here. Whew, said Jack. He and Annie hauled themselves over the ridge and saw Tenzin. He was sitting on a rock, waiting for them. He didn't look tired at all. He wasn't even breathing hard. "Are you okay?" said Annie, panting. "It is going well," said Tenzin. "And how are you?" "We're great," said Annie. "Not really," thought Jack. "I'm thinking maybe we should hike back down now," Jack said to Tenzin. "We could go to Amma's tea house, and you could tell us about the gray ghost." "Forgive me," said Tenzin. "I fear I have put you and Annie at risk. Please do return to the village." "Without you?" said Annie. "Yes, without me. Now that I have begun, I must keep to my journey. We are so close," said Tenzin. "Close to what?" Jack wondered. He started to protest, but Tenzin raised his hand. "Listen," he said. Jack listened. He didn't hear anything. In fact, the air had become oddly still. There was no sound of wind. "She is watching us," Tenzin whispered. "I can feel it." Jack felt a chill run down his spine. "Who's watching?" said Annie. Suddenly, a piercing scream came from higher up the mountain.